And I know Melissa's over here on the other end.
Hello, everyone.
Hello, I'm going to get a drink of water while you start to queue up some questions, and I'm going to get my paper ready to take notes. So give me 1 minute.
Okay, sounds good. And guys, go ahead and submit your questions here. I know today we really went in depth with a lot of stuff, so go ahead and submit some questions for us. And I know a lot of you are loving it. Thank you so much, Julie. And I'm seeing some really great comments and stuff. There are a couple things I want to clarify with Cherie that I told you guys through the messages that I was going to do. So when she hops back on, I will go ahead and ask her those to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So if you have some more questions here, it looks like, let's see here. I've got a few. All right.
Okay. All right, I am ready.
Okay, so the first question, Cherie, if you want to clarify, have you chosen all the ones that you're going to demo, or do you still want people to submit?
Oh, I'm done. I have everything I need to demo.
Okay, because we had a couple people say that you had asked for them. One person was on vacation and one person just hadn't had a chance yet. So we're done with submissions. Everything's been chosen and we're good to go, correct?
We really are. And the reason for that especially is because we have so many assets to get ready in these last 4 weeks. You guys have requested process maps, which is really in the works, and we worked a ton on those last week, but they're not done until the designer finishes. I have to work with her a lot on those. We have 5 more study guides that come out, including one today, which is like there's 4 parts of search term mining, and we're going to put 3 out today. So there's so many guides that we have to create. And then of course I had to spend a ton of time in these campaigns and doing the work and optimizing and analyzing. So yeah, there'll be no more room or bandwidth over the next 4 weeks to look at anything new. I pretty much did a deep dive. Everybody that was in this crew knows it because I was emailing them nonstop. Like, I need your Seller Central. I need your keyword research. Where's your search term report? So I've done, and Melissa, you were on the train with us this weekend.
I was.
Right? We were jamming. We were sorting STRs like nobody's business. So yeah, we're out of bandwidth because it's super important that I get everything you guys need for class.
Awesome. Okay, so I just wanted to go ahead and clarify that because we did have a couple of people ask, and I'm getting some really good questions coming in here. So I'm going to make sure I grab those. And I had a couple people here. Let's just get the class questions out of the way before we get into strategy stuff.
Right.
Jeremiah is asking, so if in the next 4 weeks we are going to be so specific about implementation examples, which is great, when will you cover what was actually originally outlined in Act 3, which is measuring growth, profits, impacts, and ads? Optimizing new customer acquisition, optimizing for performance, and the Amazon algorithm, and optimizing for profits. So when are we going to be covering the optimization portion?
We have already covered. That was what was interesting about it, because it was interesting when I put together the search modules and the placement modules, we covered optimization in detail in those. And then we covered optimization in detail in search term mining, just because there was so much to cover. So it ends up that a lot of Act 2 was really the basic strategy overview was completely covered in Act 2. And then the guides kind of give the step-by-step to do it all. But we did cover algorithm, in detail. All of Act 2 was algorithm. And then, of course, optimizing for search and optimizing for placement. So I think the main thing is going to be the search term report, and the analysis of that search term report is really how you do that. Search term mining, we covered that front to back. So yeah, there's really no more like high level principles that we haven't knocked out in the core training. So we don't have any more principles to cover. So that would be the way it was outlined actually ended up that all of those things were covered in Act 2, which gave us more room to kind of work on the step-by-step over the shoulder implementation that we had requested.
Right. I have another.
And another thing to keep in mind with that too that we found was based on the questions. Again, we're just learning with you guys on what you need and in terms of your own skill levels and where you're at with your products. Based on the questions, the majority of some of those details, like even our advertising dashboard is a template, but we know now to give you the advertising dashboard with a guide. Like we know that you're going to need, like the competitive analysis template was a complete flop as an Excel sheet, but it was a complete win as a Google, as a PDF. So we flopped with the template we used at the agency. As you guys can see from my work today, everything is in Sheets. That was a huge flop in class 1, but it was a huge win as a PDF. So yeah, I have an advertising dashboard, which is how you measure your total sales and how you track all your profitability. Tracking profitability, of course, is with that target CPA that we've already discussed in detail on search term mining. Your whole profitability is based on knowing your cost of goods sold, Amazon fees, subtracting it from your sale price, and then measuring all your keywords against it. That would be your profitability metric. But in terms of growth, we do have a very signature advertising dashboard that we use to track, and we're going to give that out. But again, it won't be a template like what I shared today. Instead, it'll be a guide. So we have an advertising dashboard guide coming out, which will be useful for you to create one of those.
All right. Okay. So the next question that I'm getting is, and this was a couple questions here. Can you put the Excel files that you're showing in the presentation on resources? They're looking for these exact Excel templates so that they can repurpose them instead of recreating spreadsheets from the PDF. That's what they're looking for.
Well, I really can't because these are Julie's.
Right.
Yeah. So no, I can't put these in the resource section. Everything we've done in terms of, just all of, let me cover this though, because I don't think you're going to need it. The main thing is going to be the campaign outline is going to be something that you would create. And it's good to make a note that we would need to give you a step-by-step on one of these guys, kind of like the advertising dashboard. We do create campaign outlines. But that, again, would lend itself to a step-by-step, not anything to talk about in a live class. But the other ones are all imports, guys. So my competitors, we already did this in our workbook. I mean, they're so straightforward. I imported this data. I copied it straight out of the tools. Helium 10, this is a Helium 10 raw X-ray report. I just uploaded in and started typing in negatives. Helium 10 magnet raw report. Just hit the CSV download, imported it in here, sorted by broad search volume, did my work. Word tree, download, import. Wool slippers, download, import. Negatives, just compiled from the 2 sheets. So these would be download, import, Cerebros. So every single sheet you've looked at here today is just simply a download from one of the tools and then import it in. The only one that would be actually a custom template, like agency template, would be campaign outline. And I'll be happy to kind of share that in a guide.
Yeah, and even as she was going through, a lot of those are, again, just downloading the reports. The headers are already there. It's just cleaning up what's there. So there really isn't anything that we can provide because you'll be downloading your own reports anyway.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. No template. They came straight out of Helium 10.
Okay, great. And did you say that you're sending out emails this afternoon for those that you've chosen? Is that what you said? Okay, perfect.
We got everybody. The whole schedule's done.
Okay, we had somebody ask, and I just mentioned, I said, I know I worked on yours this weekend, but I think the emails are going out this afternoon.
Yeah,
so
if Melissa said she worked on yours, then you're in one of the classes.
Okay, great. Yeah, Lure VIP was asking, so I know that I looked at that one this weekend. Yeah, sure. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to give you that one in feedback. And to clarify, so Christine is asking to clarify, on Browse and Shop, are the different match types in different ad groups for the same keyword? We get that question kind of a lot.
Okay, one more time, Melissa. Sorry, I was opening up my admin so I could see questions. Okay.
Oh, that's okay. Lure VIP. Oh, my poor you. You guys are so funny. Okay, so Christine's question is, on Browse and Shop, are there different match types in different ad groups for the same keyword? So listing the same keyword in different ad groups with different match types.
Let's go to that. No, my Browse and my Shop keywords are different. I use different match types within my ad groups freely. I don't even worry about, the only time I segment a match type is in a single. If I'm doing groupings and testing, I don't segment my match types. I have no data. There's no reason to do it yet. So I put everything in the same ad group. So yeah, match types are grouped in however I see fit based on that keyword and how I think it will be searched and what the volume says based on the Helium 10 tool, if it's broad or exact. And then from there, no, but there's no duplicates. My Browse are just slippers for women, women's slippers, house slippers for women. My Shop is all about wool and felt and indoor bedroom, ladies, and home.
All right. And Fanor's first question here. If I have sales, but the auto or manual is not showing them on the campaign manager, are they organic sales?
Well, yeah, if you're not seeing them, yeah.
Okay. How do you choose a match type in the headline search ad?
You definitely go off the match types from your STRs. So you look at your search term report, and whatever match type is converting in your search term report, use it exactly into headline search. You're going to want conclusive data, 5+ sales, before you even take something into headline search.
All right. Nitz has a question here. My product is manufactured in China. Should I put made in Germany as a negative?
Not made in Germany, but you could do negative. Say your product is made in China, but your main competitor is in Germany. Did I get that right? I didn't want to transpose that.
I'm assuming so. All it says is my product is manufactured in China. Should I put made in Germany as a negative?
You could do Germany as a negative, but that's only if you come back over here and you see that people are going like German this, German that, Germany, made in Germany. If your best sellers are made in Germany and yours is not, you definitely need a negative Germany. If the product's primary audience or the stuff that's ranked on Amazon is made in Germany, you would need a negative for Germany. If that's not something that's searched for, it's not going to cost you any money. But if it's in the organics at the high position, if it shows up in your Helium 10 report in a high position, like one of these main seeds with a lot of broad volume, you got to get it in there as a negative. So if people are searching for it as a keyword, or it like is definitely like a defining characteristic in the title of products that are listed, you're going to want to use a negative Germany. If it's something that no one searches for, it doesn't matter. But you don't have to put made. Don't put made in, because it's made in China. So it's made somewhere, right? Just it's not made in Germany. As long as you put a negative phrase match over here, as long as you make a negative phrase match on Germany, it's going to accomplish what you're looking for.
All right. How much data is enough data for setting up an advertising campaign? I've sold 135 units of my first product.
I think if you have enough reviews where you feel like the page is really solid and competitive from the review standpoint, that you want to do that. I mean, you can get started. That's plenty.
Okay. As far as the Germany
data, all of the data for this product came straight off of Amazon.com and Keyword Tools. There's no STR for this one. The campaign that I run on Thursday will have, and it will have both. It will have search term report with a lot of data. It's already been selling very well, and it's a good product. And then we will move into to how we would do more keyword research and scale it.
Okay. And Nitz just came back about the Germany question. Said some customers are looking for that word, so they must be looking for Germany or German.
Negative Germany, negative German. Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. And Hotsfield is asking, within what you did today, which Helium 10 tool did you go to when you began your search? What was the first one that you used?
Sure. Let me show you the different tools I use. So I started with the magnet tool to do a general keyword pull on slippers. This was just the Helium 10 magnet tool slippers. That's going to be where you always start, because you got to build your negatives and you got to see how people shop at the top of the funnel, right? This is broad search volume. I'm looking for top of the funnel shoppers and I want to see how they're doing it. So I'm going to search that way. From there, I did a Helium 10 X-ray tool, which I normally do for competitive analysis. But in this instance, the difference with that was because this product had so many different features that may be conflicting with our actual styling, I pulled it down to build a negative list. So this is the, sorry, I gotta move my sheets around. This is the X-ray tool, which is that Chrome browser on Amazon that you can hit up here. Where's my Helium 10 browser? There it is. I had it turned off. So it's right there. It's this X-ray extension. Okay, so you've got that. And then the other thing is, the other tool that I used was, Julie went ahead and she had done a couple of Cerebro reverse ASIN searches on her competitors. And she did that on Acorn and GlareUps, which I defined as competitors in my manual research. That's it. So X-ray off the Chrome browser, Magnet for the main seeds, and then Cerebro for the reverse ASIN.
Okay, Robert's got the next question here. Would you use boxes and images to help differentiate the main image when your product looks similar to others?
No, I have actually, this is an interesting thing. When I was just recently in Bucharest, Romania, speaking about advertising this past summer, there was so many Mavericks there, you guys. Like, this was the event. It was like in Bucharest. And I mean, I know because a lot of these sellers are my clients. I mean, there were like the top Amazon sellers on these panels, and I mean, doing millions and millions of dollars. And one of them who I've worked with, it's Ori. He was saying, I think it was Ori that was saying this to me. With a lot of the top sellers were saying that when you put boxes and you put stylized photoshopped branding into your product images right now, that Amazon filters those and gives you bad rank. So one of the things I saw in the back room was, this was like sellers working together on their listings, not my neck of the woods. I work on ads only, but of course, when someone has an ad question, all eyes are on me. But this was not my world of specialty. But I was standing in the back, and with all the other speakers, and I was like looking at what they were doing because, of course, I'm a businesswoman. I'm interested, and essentially they were saying that so several experts that have big Amazon brands were saying that they've noticed that when they put images with photoshopping or product boxes or any kind of over detail like that, that they actually get bad ranking and they get penalized by Amazon. So my suggestion would be no, not to do that from what I understood among some very top sellers.
Okay, and can you just clarify what you mean by boxes on photos? Because it looks like there's just a little bit of confusion with that.
Well, I assume he means putting a branded box or a branded packaging in the photo, in the main photo. If the packaging is relevant to the sale, then that matters. But if it's not, I wouldn't do it. If it's just for branding and stylization, I would avoid it at all costs. If it's somehow relevant to the package, that's fine.
Okay. I assume that's what they mean too. We just had that question, so I just wanted to make sure. Let's see here. Okay, so Olga's got the next question. Regarding the research process that you did today, can we also use this type of research at the stage when we are still deciding on which new product to start? So they're at the stage of deciding on a product. And do you have any suggestions on how you do this?
Exactly. Just exactly the process I used today. You want to use it for demand, because at this point you can really see where the demand is at and what the customers are buying. But then you can also see, just because there's demand doesn't mean you should hop in there. Like, it's obvious if it's a $19.99 commodity product with a big brand selling it, I don't want to compete. It's smarter to come in and do something more boutique, but know that boutique, kind of those need to be more refined in terms of the keywords. But yes, really the class you need to be using for that is the market share class and market analysis. That's what it was designed for. So market share and market analysis is your best class to review for that strategy. But everything I did today, I would be filtering absolutely through my selection process.
All right. Robert's got the next question here. Let's see here. If you're not sure about a keyword such as moccasin, would you negative it at the start but test it later after your product has built a strong, solid sales history and you're looking for expansion?
You can, because like we talked about, that's why I had it in orange. It was such a borderline situation with these having this moccasin shape. But I think here's the deal: when you go for a keyword and you can test it, it's not going to cost you anything to test it, which is why it was still in my query, right? That's why I still had it as questionable right up to the end and removed it. But the problem with that is, when you do this research, and I do not know why it wants to load slow because we're training. When you do this research, it seems like this class just makes my internet say, hi, I'm going to load so slow because I know that you are in front of people. I don't get it. It never does this until you guys are live. I'm like, okay, I'm live. Could you not? Did I spell moccasin wrong again? That word's just nailed me every time. Anyway, coming back down here though, but Amazon's organic is really going to show you what is selling under that keyword. And the likelihood of your product selling when all of these things, it's probably not going to be a good fit. You know what I mean? That's going to be like, you can test it, but just know in terms of small bets, it's probably not a winning bet, but you can test it to expand. It's not going to cost you anything to learn, maybe 20, 30, 50 bucks, maybe $100 if you're in an aggressive category. Feel free to test it, but you can know when Amazon dishes up this certain style, this is what sells for that keyword. So, it's unlikely, you know what I mean, that you want to get in here and tangle with these kind of broader keywords. But yeah, as you're trying to expand later, you may test it. But just know that it's probably a bit of a long shot with this many products ranking that don't look like that.
We just get some feedback. Can we turn the volume up just a little bit? They're saying the volume isn't as loud today, and they have their volume all the way up on their computer, but we're difficult to hear.
Oh, that's no good. Can you hear me better now? It might be because I'm moving around more, like navigating my computer screen and stuff. Can you?
That could definitely be it.
Yeah, because I am. I'm like looking down at my notes and then I'm scrolling. So yeah, it's probably me not talking right into the mic.
All right. Okay. So next question. I am still a bit unsure how to set a bid for broad and phrase for your top performing keywords. I have my main keyword set for exact on the first spot and it's doing great, but
Good.
It is a higher bid at $3. Then I have my broad and phrase for that main keyword set a bit lower at about $2.50, but they are not getting as many impressions and few sales. What do I do?
I mean, I think you can, if you want to try to boost the impressions, you can increase the bids a little bit. But if you're ranking on that main keyword, and if it's, again, it may just be the way that keyword is searched. And if exact brings in the volume for you, that's not problematic. But you can increase your keyword bids a little more to see if you can get more traction out of the other match types. But you'll only know by testing. The only way to know with bidding is to test. Test it, see if you get more impressions. Test it and see if you rank. There's really nothing, in the bidding to know without. It's like a feedback loop. The feedback loop on volume is impressions. So you up the bid, you see if you get more impressions. The feedback loop on rank is where's your ad in the search results. I know it's tricky if you're already ranked for exact to see what's happening with these other keyword variations. So the only way to conclusively gauge increase is in impressions. So there's no harm in increasing your bids if it doesn't mess your ACOS up to see if you can get more impressions.
All right. Banmark's got the next question here. Why do you test both wool slippers for women and wool slippers women? Wouldn't one of these catch searches for both?
Well, I don't go too deep into funnels like that, but they're very different. So yeah, they're definitely different in their phrasing. So for me, one reason I'm doing this here is because I have wool slippers. So I need to be far more specific on any wool slipper keyword I could find. And if you go back to my keyword list, you'll see on wool slippers, I didn't have a lot going on here. I mean, this is a fairly niche product, right? So I've got wool slippers for women, and then wool slippers women. So there's only a few variations that are broad enough to even test first and foremost. And so I went ahead and captured all three. But you could say that wool slippers, which it would, could theoretically catch, and it would, wool slippers for women and wool slippers for women. But when you're talking about winning in the algorithm, the exact match, it's almost like rock, paper, scissors, right? The exact match will win. So if you go wool slippers, that's fine, but you're going to be more inclined to win rank on wool slippers for women, wool slippers women, exact or broad. So you would catch them all in the query stream, but because those are my primary seeds and I only had 3 of them, I need to bid on them, and I want to put them as exact match because it's like rock, paper, scissors. I want to rank on them.
All right. This one's got a few, like a metric in it, so you might just want to take a quick note here just to make sure that we got that. Okay. Just because it's a bit longer, but not a ton of detail, but a little bit. So Vicky's got the next question here. Vicky's asking, right at the beginning of the whole course, I remember Cherie talking about a strategy to get some keywords into the #1 position, but then the ACOS would be much higher than I could take. I tried to do this strategy for a recent launch, and my ACOS for a certain keyword reached almost 200%. So my question is, how can I control my ACOS right from the beginning and still try to rank #1 from the get-go?
You can't. You have to bid what that keyword, you only have 2 metrics in advertising that work for you or against you. The 2 metrics are CPC And the CPC is determined by your sales performance. And if it's a new listing, I don't know how strong the reviews are, or how strong the traction is, and how strong the organic rank is. So you're going to pay more for your traffic without any organic rank. You're going to pay way more for your traffic without solid reviews. You're going to pay more to convert traffic, no matter how you get it, how you buy it. It's going to be more expensive without the reviews and without the organic rank, because you just don't have that visibility in search that you need to bring that shopper back, without paying for those clicks. Those two things are hard on a new product, so they are going to be more expensive out the gate. But then the only things in advertising is you have your market, the market, your competitors. To get to the ranked position, you have to outbid and outsell your competition in whatever position you land in. So of course, you're going to try to do it in position 1 because you get more sales, more velocity, more history on your most relevant keywords. Like in this instance, wool slippers, I'll fight tooth and nail for them. Can I fight for women's slippers? It's yet to be seen, even with those negatives. But I can definitely do wool slippers, So the main thing you want to be thinking about is what keyword that is, and how relevant it is, and how important it is that you build sales history, and how much you're spending at that ACoS. That's crazy, 200%. And the reality is, you either have a really high CPC that your margins can't afford, because you do have your own cost of goods sold minus the sale price, right? What is your margin? What is your ACoS target? You either have a very high CPC that's driving that ACoS up, or you have a conversion issue that is driving that ACoS up. And if you have both of those issues, it's going to make it impossible to rank, because the price, the CPC price, is outside of the range. It's just a budget issue, and the conversion is not competitive enough to sell in that position. Now, if you took the number 1 spot at some point in time, that means you can at least sell there, because they won't even give it to you if you can't sell. So if you held the number 1 spot for any length of time with a bid for rank strategy, then that means that you can sell. It just is, can you sell enough to cover your own costs and get your ACoS down? And were the keywords that you targeted in this kind of shop funnel that we're looking at here, were you getting in here to like the late, the wool slippers versus some of these broader like women's slippers? So I would say women's slippers is definitely, a second phase for these particular keywords, because they're going to be harder to convert for me, because we already know that women's slippers are looking for these kinds of styles, and I have a unique style. So I'm really going to need to focus, like I always tell you guys, from Train Robber through today, you really got to get in here and focus on those shop keywords with your unique features and benefits when you're coming out the gate. So those would be my questions for you. How broad are the keywords? You're obviously selling decent if you rank number 1. The CPCs have to be high, or something. The conversion has to be low to be making that not work for you. And there's nothing you can do. I mean, you can lower the bid, but bidding for rank is essentially you have to outbid the competition to take that spot.
Okay. What if your brand name has a broad keyword in it? Would you still do a brand broad match?
No. That means every one of your brand searches, it's not a big deal. You just would take these out. These wouldn't go if that were the case. But everything else I've created here would.
Right. When you have keyword density done in WordTree, does this include the product description? Does it take the product description into consideration, or is it only the titles and bullets? And when you adjust the keyword density, do you also work on the description to optimize the keyword density?
Well, you're just working to make sure your most important keywords are in the content and in the bullets, and not stuffed in any way, but that the keywords that are weighted the most heaviest are listed. If you go back to your competitive keywords PDF guide, it's competitors. I think it's competitors keywords or competitors research. I'll have to have Melissa double check on that for me. I haven't looked at it in a bit, but the competitor guides, one of those shows you how to do, if you're trying to go ahead and get the full product listing or the titles and bullets, I show you how to do both steps in the competitive research PDF.
Okay. Let's see here. How nitty gritty are the keywords in your shop keywords?
A
question. I don't know what the adjective nitty gritty means.
I mean, they're as focused as I can get. I look at the product and I say, okay, what is the most focused I can get. When I say nitty gritty, does it define my product exactly? My product is, without question, a wool slipper. That's it. It's a wool slipper. I got to pay for this traffic. I've got to convert it. Advertising is not a game for anything but sales. It's not a game for anything. It's a game for selling. So if it will sell, it is mine. If it will not, it's not worth doing it. So wool slippers. That's all I care about. Which of these keywords is going to guarantee me the highest probability of closing a deal? And without question, that's the one. So everything in shop defines my product exactly. If someone's searching for it, I've looked at everything else they see on Amazon. I've looked at their whole, like I just showed you guys, the path to purchase. I show you all the other brands they're looking at. And I look at the other brands they're looking at. I make sure that mine is in the running. And then I select it as a keyword.
Okay, let's see here. Ryan is saying, I'm having difficulty. Oh, goodness sakes, can't even talk today. I'm having difficulty finding how to calculate the target ACoS in the training. Was there a quick formula or a set of formulas to find the target ACoS specifically?
Your target ACoS is simply, okay, you have your Amazon sale price, and then you're going to go ahead and what percentage of your Amazon sale price can you pay for advertising? So you're going to go ahead and look at your cost of goods sold and all your Amazon fees. Cost of goods sold includes Amazon fees, right? But if you really look at traditional cost of goods sold, it's your manufacturing fees. So you take your manufacturing fees and your Amazon fees, you add those up, you subtract them from your sale price, and then what you're left with is how much dollars and cents that you can pay for a sale on Amazon at break even. And then you just got to translate that to a percentage. You know, what percentage of your sale price can you pay in advertising? You know, when do you hit what percentage, or the other way to say target ACoS is, you know, what percentage of your advertising, okay, what percentage of your sale price is your cost of goods sold and Amazon fees? Like when you look at your total sale price, what is it? You take your Amazon fees, you take your cost of goods sold. What is it? Is it 50%? Is it 75%? Is it 35%? And then from there, that's, you know, what's left over will be your margin that you can run to break even on traffic.
All right, let's see here. How did you come up with the single ad groups for phase 2 without first trying them out in phase 1?
I don't. So they're tried in phase 1, right? They would be examples of the type of keywords. That's why it says NA. They're just there for an example so you can see what it's going to look like in the framework for phase 2. Those are just going to be like, if we're talking about high volume keywords, right? Wool slippers is not a high volume keyword. My high volume keyword are women's slippers and house slippers. So those are most likely going to be the ones that I'm going to need to scale into broaden phrase. So those are just there as placeholders so that you can see phase 2. I will take my search term data, which we'll do on Thursday. I'll take my search term data and I will mine it into single ad groups based on volume, based on scale.
All right. It says here, Success is saying, this is in relation to X-ray, so the Helium tool X-ray. So X-ray in health and personal care and dietary supplements omits several brands and ASINs on the bestseller page. Do you know if brands are able to be excluded from the search in certain categories?
One more time?
Okay, so when they're using the X-ray tool in Helium 10, so they're looking at the health and personal care and the dietary supplements categories. Mm-hmm. It says that in X-ray, they omit certain brands and ASINs on the bestseller page. Do you know if the brands are able to be excluded from the search in certain categories? Like, are brands choosing to be eliminated from this search?
No, I don't know anything about that. I don't think so. Maybe I'm not understanding the question right, but I don't know anything about that.
Okay, it would be a way that the X-ray tool works, and I wouldn't have any idea about that either, and I didn't.
Yeah, so you're basically saying that when you go to pull the X-ray, the data doesn't come through on certain brands?
Correct.
Yeah, that's just, it could just be that it's pulling up. They could be doing something on the back end. I don't know why that would happen, but it's probably something in the coding or the listing or X-rays, you know, interface. But yeah, I wouldn't know the answer to why that's happening.
Yep, and the other tools that we've used in the past have had that same issue, Sheree. I know that when I at least used to do the reporting for it, we would have to go in and manually check them just to make sure they were all there, and there was always some that weren't. And then sometimes they'd show up and sometimes they wouldn't.
That's true. And I think Melissa's referencing other tools like Jungle Scout or
Correct.
Viral
Yep.
Launch. We use them all. Because we're an agency. So yeah, no, they all do have blanks in them, but I couldn't tell you why. So, but they're there.
Let's see here. We're getting two-part questions. When you guys are submitting questions, if you could keep them all on one line, that would be fantastic. So when we copy them over, they get put in different boxes and then they get confusing. But if you keep them all together in one question, that would be awesome. But next question here. Okay, this one's got a few metrics in it too. So I want to make sure you got notes ready here. Okay, so Renee is saying, on browse, I have broad and exact, but the broad has hit 13 clicks with no sales, and the exact has 17 clicks with 3 sales. Do I move the exact into the scale 3+ and the broad into the buy?
Did I get a cost metric on that broad?
It does not have a cost metric.
Well, you only move stuff to buy that's not performing at your target ACOS. Did I get a target ACOS on that?
Nope, I didn't get any ACOS. All it has is clicks and sales.
No, you wouldn't move broad. You don't have enough data to do anything with it, regardless. You said one sale, there's no data. One sale is no data. Just delete it. I mean, delete it. Like, there's nothing to do with it. It's just not enough data. How many clicks is it? Like 7? You know what I mean? Like, it's not enough data. What you can do is your 3+ sales, you could move as exact match into scale and you could test it. And even with the low number of clicks you have, it still could go, right or left once you run it at scale. But that's okay because you're going to monitor it.
Right. Carolina's got a question here. When we cap keywords, do we decrease slowly or just put on the capped bid?
Well, depends on how much data you have. If you only have one sale, you're not capping keywords because that's not enough data, because it kind of depends on what you're looking at. But let me say, so if you only have one sale, a lot of times that keyword's going to be paused. But if you have a keyword that's driving significant sales, right? Like a keyword that's driving, 10+ orders, 20+ orders at scale, 100, 200, 1,000 orders, that one needs to be lower the bid very incrementally to probably get it in its own ad group and start to really tweak it. But if it's not driving significant sales, there's nothing really to do with it that capping will help, except for cut the cost and plug it. So it depends on how many sales that keyword has and how you're using it.
Okay. Next one here, it says, excuse me, I have done competitive analysis and my product outsells the number 2 of the category I should be in, but I just noticed I'm not in that category. I'm just in a similar one. My question is, if you know anything about changing category to the one you should be in, and if it affects the sale and ad cost if you've been advertising for a long time. And I know we've talked about changing categories before. That's a topic that we've covered in detail.
Yeah, it's a mess. I mean, I've only done it once. It did not work. So changing category after you've got an already ranked product did not work for me. And we've had several people in class kind of chime in and say they had a bad experience too. I've never met anyone I know people have done it successfully though, but I'm not one of them. So that would be more of an amazing internal question since they know more about Seller Central and how to do that stuff.
All right. Okay, right here. Carolina's got the next question here. When your competitor is Amazon's choice for a browse keyword with super high traffic like baby registry, how did they target that keyword and achieve to win it?
Well, anytime they've got a badge, it's just based on Amazon's choice. So it's based on all the choice badges they're based on performance, right? So it's going to be the sales history of the product. It's going to be the reviews of the product. It's going to be the popularity of the product. It's going to be the delivery. It's going to be all those details that make up seller performance metrics for Amazon's choice. You can kind of see there was a period of time, I think they still do list it. If they don't, they did used to list why a product was their choice. Normally it has to do with a high number of good reviews, some kind of exceptional customer service. Definitely when it comes to bestseller badges and those types of badges, those are driven by sessions to the page and popularity, and then sales conversions in the category against all other products similar to the category. So when you see an Amazon's choice badge for baby registry, that means across all of the baby registry products that are ranking there, that one is the one that Amazon considers to be the strongest choice based on customer feedback, based on sales history, and based on their own internal metrics.
Okay, Lyle's got a question here. It says, if I was selling a basketball, there are really only 1 or 2 images that are specific to a basketball. So my question is, do I need to be more creative or have an action image or something? What do you think is okay? Is it okay to just have the 1 or 2 images, or do I need more images to be more relevant?
It's a tough one. I mean, that's a very hard question. Because when you have a really broad product that looks just like everybody else's, that's tough in advertising. You know, like if you can see here, you know, like let's go to this bestseller, you know what I mean? Or even over here, like this right here is terribly stacked. Like I'm going to be doing great if I have, you know, like the pink variation or some of these stylistic ones. But boy, you know, if I'm selling brown slippers, moccasin slippers, this is nasty. Everyone's got a brown moccasin slipper. A lot of these look the same. Now, if I have a brand, which I'm sure some of these are UGG and, you know, Minnetonka, which is huge. They are UGG. I'm looking at them now. These are good. But when you get into categories and your product and the images are so similar like that, it's very hard in advertising. It just encourages more consumer shopping and clicking. And I don't have a solution how you would structure the product page. But when you're doing the research phase and you're planning all of this out, I would be considering that. Like I would go to the search results, and especially if somebody is manufacturing an identical product and then you're advertising a product that's identical to others, that's a tough one to sell in advertising.
All right. Kenny's got the next question here. Besides your brand name, would you also do product name for the name of your product and add those keywords to your brand ad group?
Yes. Oh, of course. If you have a distinct product, like, you know, something that is yours and kind of trademarked or unique to your product, absolutely.
All right.
Yeah, like when we did our Levi's keywords, we had Levi's 501s, Levi's 707s. Yes, when you have different stylistic keywords, absolutely just add them into your brand group.
Okay, and then this is the last question I've had come in, Cherie. So if we don't get any more, this is the last one that we've got today. So is the rule 80-20 optimal for how many sales you get from top of search? What if you have only 60% of sales from top of search and 40% from other places? Is that bad? How can you change the effects of that?
Well, I mean, if it's profitable, then that's great. Otherwise, you can be kind of looking at where to get more, get that extra 20% in top of search. Like go back to your most important keywords and are you ranking? But if you've already tried to rank and cost-wise, it's not beneficial for you, then that's not good, right? So I think when you're really trying to go about that 60-40, if it's working for you, you're fine. But if you want more top of search conversions and you want more top of search placement, you definitely need to go back over there, look at where your main keywords driving the majority of your orders, how they're ranked, how you look top of search, and see if you can get some of those optimized for better positions, because it will drive more ad sales when you secure those top positions on your keywords.
All right. It's updated a couple times and I haven't seen any more questions come through, Cherie. So I think we've got it for today.
That was an awesome session, guys. So yes, definitely we had a ton of feedback. I would love to hear everybody's feedback in terms of the implementation. But this is what everybody has requested in terms of a lot of people have been like, oh my gosh, I love all the high level strategy, but I got to see it done. I love all the, the strategic stuff, but I got to watch it in action. So that was kind of this was the we're going to do this now for 4 weeks based on your suggestions and based on your requests. So yeah, if you have any specific questions in terms of things that you really want to know about, everything is covered either in a guide, process map, or in the recordings that already exist in the members area. And then everything over the next 4 weeks will be real-time optimization covering by example the details that we discussed in the outline. So when you look at classes 9 through 12 as an outline, everything in those classes will be covered, but they're going to be covered through implementation and not just slides. So through a combination of guides and these examples, you're going to get the exact same content that we had slated for 9 through 12, but you're going to get it in implementation and guides. And then in terms of the strategies, we went ahead and covered those a lot in Act 2 when we talked about the algorithm and search and placement. And each one of those units has an optimization section.
All right. And will you go over what you're going to be sending out this afternoon for those who did get chosen? We've still had a lot of questions about that. We just want to be clear.
Yeah, all I'm going to send out is a quick answer saying I'm going to use your campaign on the demo for search term mining, and it will be in class 11, something like that.
And Julie has questions. You're going to send her all of this stuff in the email this afternoon, correct?
Yes, all of this is yours, Julie. Yes, it's yours. Okay. I'll send it over.
Awesome.
And yeah, and in terms of that, yes, and I will be covering, Fanor, I will be covering parent-child structure next week. Next week. It'll be a big piece of it because it's a big piece of campaign cleanup. So one of the bigger things that I wasn't anticipating in this class was how many people had messy campaigns that needed work. And with that in mind, we have messy campaigns that'll get cleaned up on lifetime data. And then we have messy campaigns that need to be restructured child-parent ASIN.
Awesome.
All right. Good stuff, guys. Everybody have an amazing couple days, and I will see you Thursday. Until next time.